What's going on, fam? Welcome back to the channel. Today's playtest is with the Asics Menace 5. I'm out here with Michael, good friend of mine from Flower City, 7MLC. Go subscribe to his channel as well. 70% of you guys aren't subscribed who are watching, so make sure you hit that button below. Really helps the channel as well. Let's hop straight into it. All right, so getting the boots on. I've actually worn these one other time. We did a session a couple days ago for Michael's channel, actually, that turned out really, really well. But the comfort of these Menace 5s is awesome. I love this really, really nice synthetic leather upper, especially with this monosock construction as well. It really provides one of the most kind of locked in sensations you'll get with a boot like this. And this kind of boot compares with the Scudetta, the Messi F50, very, very similar uppers. Now, the Scudetta is going to be a little bit softer than this one straight out of the box. And the Messi F50, I would say, is also probably on par with this one, maybe a little bit softer. The Scudetta is definitely the most soft out of the three of this sort of, pseudo, what was trying to, I guess, go after that 2014 hybrid touch type material. But I would say that after testing all three of those boots pretty extensively and having worn this for one session already, I can already tell you, because of the external cage that they've put, you can see kind of here, they've put this like external cage around the outside of that material. You still get the softness of this upper, but you've got the lockdown that's far superior, in my opinion, to those other two boots, even if it's like a lower profile boot, which is really nice. So very, very good responsiveness out of this boot. And as it breaks in, you really get a sense of how responsive from change of direction, and also how these do just in a training and a match environment. All right, so first touch with the Menace 5 really is kind of that hybrid touch-like upper with the external cage. And one thing that I really enjoy about this boot, despite it not having any grip elements, is that they haven't added any bulk to the upper, so it still feels pretty barefoot, which is nice. And so regardless of whether you're touching the ball on kind of that lacing system area right on the top like this, or whether you're passing it with the inside of the foot, it really does a nice job of keeping a pretty consistent feel throughout the entire playing experience. And so if we do, higher juggles like that, any sort of touch that you're gonna have is gonna feel really nice, pretty barefoot, and it's also gonna allow you to make sure that any touch you're having on the ball is really, really nice and comfortable. All right, so passing with Menace 5 as well is super nice. One of the things, obviously, having an FG pitch that we can use right now is really nice for this sole plate, because I think, generally speaking, this is one of the more snappy sole plates you'll have on the market, including the fact that it's got the 10mm heel lift in the back. And let's switch directions right here and go backwards. And so what you're getting with this type of, nice touch, what you're getting with this type of combination is really nice and locked in sensation on the top, while you get conical studs and a really responsive sole plate at the bottom. All right, so the other thing that I think maybe, even though you do have a really tight and secure locked in fit, and they've actually added a runner's knot lace so deep into this upper close to the ankle, is the fact that this boot is actually really low profile. And what I mean by that is it sits super low on your foot. So if you see in this B cam here, it sits super low down. Even though there is a runner's knot halfway up this section here of your ankle, it sits so low down that sometimes you feel a little bit unstable. It's almost as if you're walking on stilettos a little bit. And so even though I like that little pop, I'm not usually a fan necessarily of the heel lift, but what it does do is I almost feel a little insecure back here when changing directions, because not only are you higher, but there's also less material kind of locking you into that ankle area. So although it is a little bit more secure from an upper perspective, you do have that section right around the ankle that isn't as stable. All right, so although the upper is really nice and locked in, I do get a little bit of hot spot on the outside of my foot, which is pretty standard for me in terms of break-in process. But what it does mean is that for those of you who have a little bit of a wider foot shape, particularly in the midfoot, just make sure that you are spending a good maybe hour to 2 hours even. Yep, sorry. There you go. Hour to 2 hours breaking these in, maybe wear it on a little bit of a damp pitch like we are right now. Make sure it is FG as well, because although I think this particular stud pattern is totally fine on both AG and FG pitches, it is one of those stud patterns that you are gonna want to, ooh, sorry, mate. There we go, one more round. It is one of those pitches that that's going to give you a little bit more grace as far as going through the break-in process. So going to take these off super, super quick. Again, speaking of break-in process, just because right on that outside, you do have not only the Asics kind of logoing here that is a synthetic that's not going to stretch, but if you can see the difference in the upper, there's kind of this upper here and then the cage that wraps around that lateral side. So particularly for my foot shape right in this area here, it is a little bit, it's still super soft, but it does just need that little bit of extra break-in time. Now, as far as the heel goes as well, that's one thing that I think Asics does better than pretty much everybody on the market. They've got this really, really nice material here in the heel area. So it's like a micro suede basically from your last lace loop all the way back to the heel, giving you a nice little bit of padding kind of on the upper side of the heel as well. So that's really gonna lock your foot in when you're doing changes of direction, even though, again, as I said, this opening maybe could be a little bit smaller, and then they could bring the knit up just a tiny bit to make sure that you really feel secure in this ankle area. All right, so little shooting drill. All we're gonna do is check, Michael's gonna check off, I'm gonna play, he's gonna set me, and I'm just gonna wrap around, try and get that back post or maybe even near post, but really looking to kind of evaluate what this upper feels like and looks like. Nice. So it's one of those uppers that, similar to the Messi F50, is gonna feel pretty chill as far as grip elements, right? So because it doesn't have grip, and that section of upper where the cage is also doesn't have any of that grip element, so it's not sticky like maybe another type of upper would be. And so you really have to focus on technique of shooting as opposed to relying like in a grip knit material where you can basically just flick it and the ball spins regardless of the condition. This is one of those things like that when I'm shooting, I've really got to wrap my foot around to get any sort of swaz or bend on it. Okay, so the other thing that I want to speak about as Michael's going through his set, is the heel lift. Now, the heel lift is one of those things that I think is gonna actually benefit a lot of players, particularly those who are looking for something that's, nice hit, something that's a little bit more up on your toes, reduces Achilles tension, and really helps with kind of reduction of that stress on the lower limbs. I notice it particularly because this is a 10mm heel lift and not maybe a 5mm heel lift. Nice. All of these would be goals, by the way. This goal shot is just annoying as hell. There you go. Yep, bang. Oh, love that. So the heel lift really does that nice job of kind of putting you up on your toes. And to be honest, because technique with shooting, right, is to point the toe down, it actually makes a pretty significant difference in terms of how I feel I'm able to get up and over the ball, which we'll demonstrate in a little bit with some longer passes. All right, so from a general comfort perspective, though, this is one of those boots that really does everything pretty well, to be honest. I do feel like I have a little bit of slippage here in the heel area, again, just because I think they haven't gone completely, they haven't gone completely bananas with how tight it is in the heel area. And actually that's something that in the Menace 4 was actually a problem for me. The heel area just wasn't as good as I think it should have been. And so, you know, for me, the Asics Japan products, yep, are absolutely fantastic as far as the heel areas go, which I think they've taken notes with the new Menace 5, but I still do feel, again, with how open that kind of opening is here, I do feel like I'm slipping a little bit, even despite having grip socks and stuff. So just something to think about. All right, so we'll just get a little bit of this kind of pingy, just a little bit of pings, just to get a sense of what they're like to take a touch down, which absolutely fantastic. I really love the way that these kind of just generally perform, and sort of that little bit of kind of skip and that sort of seamless ping you get with this type of boot. I would say the Messies feel very similar. The Scudettas are probably my favorite to do this type of kind of passing work with, just because of that extra little bit of softness. But again, then you sacrifice on some of the lockdown that you get with a boot like this, right? So you've got such a nice, like, just driven kind of pingy sensation with a boot like this. And I do think to some extent, to some extent, the new Predator also kind of gives you that sensation. That is a little bit thicker, so it isn't gonna give you kind of as barefoot of a sensation as this one will. But at the end of the day, it is sort of a personal preference about, you know, what type of upper you are looking for in a football boot. Now, sort of in conclusion, we'll wrap up thoughts with Michael in a second, but I do think this is a boot that's gonna suit most people. And it is one of those boots that are really comfortable. And yes, I understand there's a lot of concern because it's marketed towards like rugby and AFL players as well. But believe it or not, the football department in Asics actually developed this boot. So although the Menace and Menace 4 and the Menace in general, and I would say a lot of the Asics football boots right now are sort of, I guess, how you say, multifaceted in terms of their ability to translate between different sports. I would say that that's not necessarily a bad thing, because in those types of sports you need a lot of lateral ability, and these definitely deliver that type of comfort and performance. So, final thoughts on the Menace. What do you think?
Really like them. I'm a speed boot connoisseur, I would say. How I would describe these, if those of you who maybe were fans of the F50 back when they had a leather option and a synthetic of the exact same boot, I would almost put this as the synthetic Neo. Obviously, there's a lot more quality materials on Mizuno products, but if you're looking for maybe a more budget-friendly option that offers a similar fit and feel, I think you can actually get this from this. And obviously, because of the synthetic upper, if you're playing on a wet grass like this, you're not going to absorb any water, so it stays lightweight, but very similar. Really enjoy them. I agree with what you said earlier in the video about how the ankle area is a little bit low, so sometimes you can feel a bit unstable in my hip maybe, but on a firm ground surface like this, you don't really notice it too much, so pretty happy overall.
Yeah, what do you think of the heel lift? That's something different.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I tried also the lethal testimonials per your review, because I wanted to test it out for myself, and I enjoy being on my toes anyway, because that's how I like to be, so having a bit of encouragement in that area is good in my opinion. I know it's not for everybody, so some people like a more grounded feel, but I quite like being on my toes. I feel like I'm ready to accelerate, and when you are sprinting, almost feels like it just takes the edge off a little bit on your Achilles area, so very slightly. It's a minimal difference. You're not going to notice a world of difference in it, so don't go specifically for these if you're looking for, you know, something that's going to make you feel like you can run forever, but it's a good little bit of pressure relief off the lower legs.
Something a little bit extra, which is nice. For me, it feels a lot like the running shoe version of a lot of boots. And I felt that way about the X-Fly 5 as well, which doesn't have a heel lift, but the sole plate is very much like kind of this arced. So it kind of puts you up on your toes as well.
Yeah, I got to try those out.
Yeah, but similar stud design, similar stud pattern. And this sole plate for me, that is how it should be in terms of a speed boot. So overall thoughts, again, Menace 5, really, really nice upgrade from the Menace 4. I know a lot of you guys really enjoyed the standalone tongue on the Menace 4, which is a really nice thing, but for me, honestly, the monosock construction is just that little bit of a level up, and including this new generation of synthetic leather, I think just pulls this package together in a way that's super seamless, feels really good, and overall performs really well. I do think there's room to be improved back here in that ankle area, but so far I think it's going to be a boot that both of us use on a fairly regular basis.
Absolutely.
And is just really comfortable as well. And that's the thing that I think Asics does better than pretty much everybody, is that just general comfort and focus on foot health. So well done, Asics, and really looking forward to continuing to test these. So if you guys haven't already subscribed to the channel, go over to Michael's channel as well and subscribe. I'll leave the link down below in the description box. Follow me on Instagram at noah.cavanaugh. And as always, be awesome. Take care. I'll see you guys in the next video.